The stars burned cold over Vortani's Prime, the heart of the Galactic Council's empire. Its orbital defenses, vast and unchallenged for millennia, stood in silent vigilance, fortresses of steel and energy shielding a world that had long believed itself untouchable. Then the void fractured. Hundreds of warships emerged from the abyss of deep space, their hulls forged in darkness, their weapons primed for vengeance. They bore no insignia, no heraldry, only a singular message pulsed through every known frequency. "We have returned." Inside the warship Judicator, Commander Dane Verrick stood on the bridge, eyes locked on the holographic display. The enemy fleet scrambled in confusion. Their formations were slow, hesitant, unprepared. "Fleet status?" Verrick asked, his voice steady. "All ships in position," Lieutenant Adrana confirmed. "Orbital defenses are scanning us but haven't fired yet. They don't know what to make of us." Verrick exhaled. "Good." The Council believed humanity was extinct, a forgotten footnote in history. The longer their enemy hesitated, the greater the advantage. He opened a wide-channel transmission. "Galactic Council," he said, his voice carrying across the void. 3,000 years ago, you wiped out our home. You hunted us, erased our name from your archives. You thought we were finished. You were wrong." Static filled the line. Then, a response, stiff, uncertain. "This is Admiral Zelon of the Vortani's Defense Fleet. Identify yourselves. This is a restricted system. Any unauthorized." "We are humanity," Verrick cut in, his tone sharp as a blade. "And we are here to collect a debt long overdue." A pause. Then, panic. "Activate planetary defenses. All ships to fire." The Judicator's main cannon unleashed a pulse of searing energy. It tore through the void, slamming into the largest orbital fortress. Shields flared, held for a heartbeat, then collapsed. Fire and debris scattered into space as the station erupted, breaking apart like glass under a hammer. Across the fleet, human warships followed suit. Plasma lances carved through enemy formations, missiles streaked through the black, and kinetic slugs shattered vessels with merciless precision. The Council's fleet scrambled, caught between disbelief and terror. "Enemy fleet is in disarray," Adrana reported. "Their formations are breaking." "They never thought they'd have to fight us," Verrick muttered. "They thought we were ghosts." Now, the ghosts had teeth. A crimson warning flashed across the tactical display. 3 enemy cruisers had recovered enough to launch a counterattack. Their plasma batteries glowed, ready to strike. "Shields at max," Verrick ordered. "Return fire. No mercy." The Judicator's guns roared to life. In a heartbeat, 2 of the enemy ships were reduced to drifting wreckage. The third twisted away, engines burning hard, trying to flee. "Let it run," Verrick said. "I want survivors." Adrana shot him a questioning glance. "They need to spread the fear," he explained. "Make them understand that this isn't a battle. It's the beginning of the end." The Council's fleet was in full retreat now, their defenses crumbling. The planetary shield over Vortani's Prime flickered, its generators struggling against the relentless assault. Soon, the capital world itself would be exposed. Verrick opened another transmission. "High Chancellor Exaloris Maven," he said, knowing the Council's leader was listening. "You once called us a plague. An infection that needed to be purged. Tell me, Chancellor, do you still believe that?" Silence. Then, a single reply. "Humanity was a mistake." Verrick's jaw tightened. "Then it's a mistake you will never forget." The fleet surged forward. The final reckoning had begun. The war had begun, but the battle was far from over. In the aftermath of humanity's first strike, the Galactic Council reeled. Their fleet lay in ruins, their planetary defenses smoldering. On Vortani's Prime, panic spread like wildfire. For the first time in thousands of years, the heart of the Empire felt the shadow of fear. Commander Dane Verrick stood on the Judicator's bridge, watching the chaos unfold on his tactical display. The planetary shield still flickered, weakened but not yet broken. It wouldn't hold much longer. His fleet had the firepower to finish the job, but brute force alone wouldn't win this war. "Commander," Lieutenant Adrana called, her tone edged with urgency. "We've secured the orbital station Veritas. Their systems are intact. We're pulling all classified data now. Verrick turned sharply. This was what he needed. Firepower could destroy, but information could break an empire. "Put me through to the station," he ordered. A second later, the main view screen flickered to life, revealing a disheveled alien with pale, translucent skin and deep-set black eyes, Administrator Kelsey's, the station's overseer. His hands trembled as he stared at Verrick. "You don't understand what you're doing," Kelsey said, his voice unsteady. "Oh, I understand perfectly," Verrick replied. "We've spent 3,000 years waiting for this moment." Kelsey's shook his head. "You think this is about vengeance? It's not. If you tear down the council, you won't like what takes its place." "That's not your concern," Verrick said coolly. "What is my concern is what's in your archives." Kelsey's hesitated. Verrick stepped closer to the screen. "You destroyed Earth. You exterminated billions of our people. I want to know why. The real reason. And don't insult me with the Council's propaganda." The administrator hesitated, glancing off-screen. Verrick could see the indecision in his eyes. "We don't have time for this," Adranna muttered beside him. "We should rip the data out ourselves." Verrick raised a hand. "No. He wants to tell us." He turned back to Kelsey's. "Because you're afraid, aren't you? Not of us, of what the Council has been hiding." A long pause. Then, with a sigh, Kelsey straightened. "You're right," he admitted. "The destruction of Earth wasn't about keeping the galaxy safe. It was about control." The bridge fell silent. Kelsey's exhaled, as if shedding a burden he had carried for too long. 3,000 years ago, the Council discovered something disturbing. Humanity wasn't just another species. You evolved faster, adapted quicker. Your technological progress in a few centuries rivaled what took others millennia. You were accelerating beyond control. Verrick's hands clenched into fists. "So they wiped us out." Kelsey's nodded grimly. "They called it a preemptive measure. They told the galaxy it was for peace. But the real reason? They were afraid of what you would become." A low hum filled the bridge, a mixture of anger and revelation. Verrick took a slow breath, steadying himself. "And what about the survivors? The ones who escaped Earth?" Kelsey's hesitated. Verrick's eyes narrowed. "Tell me." The administrator looked away. "They were hunted. Every human colony was purged. But not all of them were destroyed. Some were taken, experimented on." A cold weight settled in Verrick's chest. "Where?" Kelsey's looked back at him, haunted. "The Council's inner sanctum. The vaults of Velcaris." Verrick exchanged a glance with Adranna. He had expected answers, but not this. Not living remnants of their past, hidden away in the heart of the enemy's empire. "This changes everything," Adranna murmured. Verrick nodded, his mind racing. He had come for vengeance. Now, he had something more. Hope. Turning back to Kelsey's, he spoke with quiet finality. "Send us the coordinates. The Council's time is over. And we're going to make sure they know it." The screen went dark. The war wasn't just about payback anymore. It was about saving what remained. The void stretched endlessly before them, cold and silent. The Judicator and its fleet tore through the abyss at faster-than-light speeds, their destination clear, Velcaris, the Council's most secretive installation. Hidden within a dying star system, it was a place of whispers and half-truths, a ghost story told in hushed voices. Now it was real. Commander Dane Verrick stood on the bridge, hands clasped behind his back as he watched the approaching star system on the tactical display. A red dwarf flickered weakly at the system's heart, its light casting the planets in eerie twilight. There, on the third moon of a barren gas giant, was Velcaris. A station, vast and unmarked, clung to the rock's surface like a parasite. No trade routes passed through this sector. No records acknowledged its existence. The Council had buried it in secrecy for millennia. "Scans?" Verrick asked. Lieutenant Adranna studied her console. "Defensive grid is minimal. Energy signatures suggest automated turrets and drone patrols, but nothing heavy. Either they're overconfident, or they never expected anyone to find this place. They thought we were dead, Verrick muttered. Arrogance made them blind. Adrana nodded. No external hangars or docking ports. If we want inside, we'll have to breach it manually. Verrick turned to the strike team waiting behind him, his best soldiers, hardened by centuries of exile and war. Their armor was reinforced against enemy fire, their weapons charged and ready. Among them stood Lieutenant Rhys Callan, a veteran of a dozen shadow campaigns, his face carved with old scars. Rhys, you'll lead the boarding team. Get inside, secure the control center, and disable whatever security they have left. We'll cover you from orbit. Rhys grinned. Been a while since we kicked down the council's doors. Looking forward to it. Verrick smirked. Then let's not keep them waiting. The breach. The Judicator's forward cannons roared to life, sending precision rounds into the automated turrets. Explosions rippled across the surface of Velcaris, tearing through its weak defenses. The strike team's shuttle launched through the chaos, its engines burning as it descended toward the installation. Inside the craft, Rhys and his team braced for impact. The shuttle slammed into the station's hull, magnetizing on contact. The moment it latched, a plasma cutter roared to life, carving through the reinforced plating. Breaching, one of the soldiers called. The metal glowed, melted, then collapsed inward. The moment the hole was wide enough, Rhys led the charge. The corridors were sterile, bathed in artificial white light. No guards. No resistance. Just silence. Too easy, one of the soldiers muttered. Rhys pressed forward, weapon raised. Stay sharp. If they left this place unguarded, it's not because they weren't expecting visitors, it's because they didn't think anyone would leave alive. They moved deeper, their boots soundless against the smooth flooring. The walls were lined with thick security doors, sealed with council insignias. Signs in alien script marked restricted areas, warning unauthorized personnel to stay away. Then they found the first chamber. The door slid open with a hiss. Inside, the air was cold, unnaturally so. Rows of containment pods stretched into the darkness, each one filled with a pale blue liquid. Within them, figures floated in suspended animation. Humans. Some were old. Some were young. Some bore scars, remnants of experiments unknown. All was still, their faces frozen in expressions of unconscious dread. By the stars. A soldier whispered. Rhys stepped forward, eyes scanning the room. His gut twisted. These weren't prisoners. They were subjects. The Council hadn't just exterminated humanity, they had dissected it, studied it, harvested it. Verrick's voice crackled over the comm. What are you seeing? Rhys swallowed hard. They kept them, Commander. They kept us. Silence on the other end. Then, a slow exhale. Understood. Get them out. Now. Rhys turned to his team. Find a way to wake them up. We're not leaving anyone behind. One of the soldiers moved to the control panel, fingers flying over the unfamiliar interface. There's a sequence. I think I can override it. Then do it, Rhys ordered. A klaxon blared. The lights flickered red. The station had detected the unauthorized access. Commander, we've got a problem, Rhys said. More than one, Verrick replied. We just picked up incoming ships, Council reinforcements. We're out of time. Rhys clenched his jaw. How long do we have? Minutes. Get moving. The first containment pod hissed open. A woman collapsed forward, coughing violently as the fluid drained from her lungs. Rhys caught her before she hit the ground. Her eyes fluttered open, unfocused and full of terror. Easy, he said, steadying her. You're safe. More pods opened, their occupants gasping awake. Confusion and fear filled the room. Some screamed. Others sobbed. Most just stared, trying to grasp the impossible. Rhys turned to his team. We need to get them out now. The sound of metal grinding echoed through the halls. The station's defenses were waking up. Extraction. The corridors erupted with gunfire. Automated sentry turrets dropped from the ceiling, spitting energy rounds. Rhys and his team returned fire, covering the escape as the newly freed prisoners stumbled forward, weak but moving. Almost there, a soldier called. The shuttle was waiting at the breach point, engines hot. The ramp lowered, soldiers helping the survivors inside. Reese fired one last shot before diving onto the ramp, slamming his fist against the controls. Go, go, go! The shuttle peeled away from the station just as enemy ships broke into the system. On the Judicator's bridge, Verrick watched as the strike team's shuttle rocketed toward them, pursued by council fighters. "Target those ships," he ordered. Turrets locked on, unleashing a barrage of precision fire. Enemy vessels exploded in rapid succession, clearing the path for the shuttle. The moment it docked, Verrick was already moving. The survivors were led into the medical bay, their eyes hollow with exhaustion. Some of them barely looked human. Years of experimentation had altered them, scarred them. Verrick stopped as he met the gaze of an old man, his face lined with more history than any being should carry. "You," the man murmured. "You're one of us." Verrick nodded. "We all are." Tears welled in the man's eyes. Then, "Humanity lives." Verrick's throat tightened. "Not just lives," he said. "We fight." The war had taken on new meaning. The Council had stolen their future. Now, humanity would take everything back. The war was no longer about vengeance. It was about survival. The Judicator and its fleet tore through space, heading straight for the Galactic Council's stronghold on Primaris 1. Intelligence extracted from Velcaris had revealed the heart of the enemy's power, a fortified citadel deep within the planet's capital city. It was there the High Council convened, where the final orders to exterminate humanity had been given thousands of years ago. Commander Dane Verrick stood on the bridge, eyes locked on the holographic display of Primaris 1. "This is it," he murmured. Lieutenant Adrana stepped forward. "The survivors from Velcaris have confirmed it. The Council isn't just hiding here, they're controlling everything from this place. If we take it down, their empire crumbles." Verrick nodded. "Then we finish this." The fleet dropped out of FTL just beyond the planetary defense grid. Alarm sirens blared across Primaris 1 as their warships emerged from the void. Fighters launched from orbital stations. Capital ships moved to intercept. The Council had prepared for war, but they had never expected humanity to be the ones bringing it to them. "All ships engage," Verrick commanded. The battle erupted in an instant. Energy beams and missile barrages lit up the darkness. The Judicator weaved through enemy fire, its shields flaring as it carved a path toward the surface. "Fighter squadrons, clear the sky," Adrana ordered. Sleek human craft, built for speed and precision, tore through the enemy ranks. One by one, the Council's defenses collapsed. The fleet pressed forward, driving toward the planet's surface like an unstoppable storm. Inside the drop bay, Lieutenant Reese Callan and his strike team prepped for the final push. "We land, breach the Citadel, and eliminate the High Council," Reese reminded his squad. "No hesitation." "Understood," his second-in-command replied. The dropships roared into the atmosphere, engines burning against the resistance. Anti-air defenses spat fire into the sky, but the pilots wove through the barrage with precision honed by centuries of war. The first ships slammed into the landing zone, ramps dropping instantly. Soldiers poured out, weapons raised. The Council's ground forces were waiting, unleashing a hailstorm of fire. Reese hit the ground running, pulse rifle barking. Enemy troops fell in rapid succession as his team pushed forward. Explosions shattered the towering structures around them. The air was thick with smoke, the scent of scorched metal filling every breath. "The Citadel's dead ahead," someone shouted. The massive structure loomed at the city's core, a monolithic fortress of obsidian and steel. Its walls pulsed with defensive energy fields, shields designed to withstand planetary bombardment. Reese tapped his comm. "Commander, we need a way in." On the Judicator, Verrick turned to his tactical officer. "Target the shield generators. Bring them down." The warship adjusted its position, cannons aligning with the exposed generators lining the Citadel's outer wall. A single command was all it took. "Fire!" A rain of plasma tore through the enemy defenses. The first explosion sent shockwaves through the city. The shield flickered, then collapsed entirely. "Go!" Verrick ordered. Reese and his team wasted no time. Charges were placed against the main gates, the detonation shaking the ground as reinforced doors crumpled inward. The strike team flooded inside, weapons ready. The halls were a maze of towering pillars and endless corridors. Council guards fell as the soldiers advanced, moving with ruthless efficiency. They had fought their entire lives for this moment. At the heart of the citadel, a massive chamber awaited, the High Council's inner sanctum. The final door stood before them, adorned with ancient symbols of power. Rhys stepped forward, setting the final charge. Time to end this. The explosion ripped the doors apart, revealing the rulers of the galaxy. The High Council sat upon their thrones, watching with expressions of cold defiance. The room was grand, its walls lined with intricate carvings of their supposed achievements, victories over lesser species, dominion over the stars. Rhys strode in, rifle raised. One of the counselors, a withered creature draped in regal robes, sneered. "You think killing us will change anything? The galaxy will never follow humans." Varric's voice came through the comms. "Put me through to them." Rhys tapped his earpiece, and Varric's voice filled the chamber. "The galaxy doesn't have a choice anymore." The counselor's sneer faltered. Varric continued, "You spent 3,000 years trying to erase us. You failed. And now, every species you've oppressed, every world you've crushed, is watching. You built your empire on fear. Today, that fear turns against you." One of the counselors, a reptilian warlord, bared his teeth. "You'll never hold the galaxy. You are one species." Rhys smirked. "And yet, here we are, standing where you never thought we'd be." The counselors exchanged uneasy glances. For the first time in millennia, they weren't in control. Varric's voice turned cold. "Your rule is over. You can surrender, or we can tear this place down around you." Silence. Then, the lead counselor, an ancient, pale-skinned being, spoke. "If we fall, chaos will follow." Varric's response was immediate. "Then let it come." Rhys raised his weapon. The Council had given humanity no mercy. They would receive none in return. The shots rang out, echoing through the chamber. The Judicator hovered over the burning remains of Primaris I. Across the galaxy, news of the Council's fall spread like wildfire. Oppressed species rose in defiance. Uprisings ignited on once subjugated worlds. The Empire was crumbling. On the bridge, Varric gazed at the reports flooding in. Adrana stepped beside him. "We did it." Varric exhaled slowly. "It's just the beginning." The war wasn't over. The galaxy would resist. Power vacuums would breed conflict. But humanity was no longer in the shadows. They had returned. And this time, they would never be erased again.